When it comes to serving clients or customers, most salespeople are hyper-focused on the next sale. How they can add to that client or customer list, as opposed to focusing on the clients or customers that they already have. Well, our guest today is going to tell you why that's actually a mistake, in addition to the 5 traits you should be looking for when hiring your sales force. Stay tuned. Part 1 of this information-packed episode is coming up next.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast
with your host, Thor Conklin.
Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy.
Today's guest is Jeffrey Gitomer, the king of sales. Jeffrey is also the author of many books, including The Sales Bible and Customer Satisfaction is Worthless, Customer Loyalty is Priceless. In addition to his many books, Jeffrey has also written 24 featured columns for Entrepreneur Magazine, is the host of a podcast called Sell or Die, and runs the Gitomer Learning Academy. So if you want to learn some tips, tricks, and tools to increase your sales prowess, or just want to learn how to use multimedia to your advantage, then look no further.
Jeffrey, thank you for joining us today. I have been looking forward to this. This actually is a landmark episode because this is the first episode we're actually doing on Zoom. We have video along with the audio. So I'm looking forward to this. I know at some point, whenever you do something new, right, you kind of learn as you go, right? Just start moving and then finally you'll end up learning.
No, don't you just start out knowing everything? That's how I grew up.
Exactly, right. Well, we're from the Northeast, so of course we knew everything, right? We were smart asses to begin with.
Exactly. Anything that I teach you today would just be a review.
That's right. Well, I realized that when I gave everybody the Zoom information, I gave all the people that I'm recording today the same information. And I guarantee someone's going to show up in the middle of this thing, testing their system and make sure they can get on. Exactly. And they're going to interrupt. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into an opportunity for you to pitch them.
Okay, cool.
All right, so that's we're just going to roll with it. It's going to be like, hey, welcome to the show, Mark, or whoever actually joins in. So I was thinking about that last night. I was like, are we
Facebook Living it? Or are we?
We are walking first. No, we're not Facebook Living it. Oh. That would be like the next. Is that my next step? Facebook Live at the same time?
Well, when we do a the Monday motivation or Motivation Monday for our Sell or Die podcast, which everyone should subscribe to, we do it Facebook Live and then post it.
I love it. All right.
It's very effective because we get to talk to people.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. I used to do a thing every Thursday that we did consistently, and then it was like my entire schedule for the week was worked around the Facebook
Thursday,
Live. Yeah, so it was like, all right, I like doing these, but I don't want to be trapped into this particular time every single week. Mm-hmm. But that's good. I'll get the team on that. So Jeffrey, look, I followed your work for a long time. I've been at your events, and one of the things that I really, really like about you, and I kind of feel like a kinship with you as well, as I say it how it is. And I'm not for everybody. And I know you're not for everyone as well. You've got that direct approach. You don't beat around the bush. I remember sitting there and hearing you talk from the front of the stage saying, look, you guys can basically be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. But most of you aren't going to do the work. While you guys are out playing basketball or watching TV or going to a game, I'm writing books. You're goofing off.
I equate it to sometimes watching a game is okay. Watching TV is pretty much a waste. But I look at it as, what are you doing on Friday night and Saturday night? Are you going out drinking and investing some of your hard-earned money in a craft beer? Or are you trying to sober up and try to get to the next level ahead of your competitor who may be sitting at home trying to get ahead of you?
Yeah.
And I just had the discipline for it. Maybe it's because I started when I was older and I'd already sown those oats, so to speak. But I didn't start to write till I was in my 40s, nor did I start to speak till I was in my 40s. I dabbled in it before then, but I never like put the hammer down or put the pedal to the metal until until 1992. So I've been doing it for 25 years, and I know what to do, but I don't spend my time. I invest my time.
Yeah. And was there something that happened where it just kind of clicked? You woke up one day. Was it a divorce or some sort of painful event in your life that just said, hey, I've got to change things?
No, I read an article in the Charlotte Business, in the Charlotte Observer about some guy who has a sales test. And then he asked people for answers. And then the following week he posted the answers and they were total bullshit. So I called the paper and I said, not only are you so stupid that you believe this guy, but you printed the wrong information, and now thousands of salespeople are believing what they read, and they're going to do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the guy that wrote the article showed up at my office the next day, and the following Monday, there was something written about me. And my phone literally was ringing off the hook. And I realized I had something, and it was time for me to write it. And I didn't get it in the Observer. They turned me down. But the Business Journal accepted me right away, and I'm still in Business Journals.
And you've been writing ever since. And what I love is if you go to your website, I mean, you've got an entire library of information, programs, books that you've put together over a lifetime that's going to, when you and I are gone, those assets are going to continue to feed your family's family.
Keep in mind the names of personal development that you would know today are Dale Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill has about 20 hours of film. Dale Carnegie has 5 minutes that they can find. I'm sure there's more, but so far, and since he died in 1955, they've only been able to find 5 minutes of Dale Carnegie giving a speech or talking. And those companies have thrived and survived over that period of time, and I'm intending to do the same thing, but I'm going to have more than 1,000 hours of video content that people will be able to access literally anywhere, anytime, on demand, on their phone, on their desktop or laptop, or their tablet, and it will be able to inform them about what to do next, not just in sales, but in personal development and every form of loyalty, and you name the topic. I've either written a book about it or recorded it.
Well, and what I love also is that this stuff doesn't go out of style. You're not talking about the latest sales click funnel system. No,
loyalty is not the flavor of the week. It's a lifetime commitment.
That's right. But I think in some cases it's almost gone out of style. Customer service should never go out of style, but it seems so often so many businesses aren't even focusing on that. They just want an autoresponder, right? Or IA will take care of it.
Yeah, that's true. I just got an autoresponder today, and I called the guy out on it. I mean, it's not what I want. I will tell you that we autorespond sometimes when someone pays us money and they want to know if they got a receipt or if we got the money. Yeah. So I'll autorespond for that. But then we're very personal and very responsive, no matter if we're selling 10 things or 1,000 things.
Yeah, and even if it's a small priced item, I had a client a couple of years ago, and they sold on Amazon. They sold very inexpensive exercise equipment, like water bottles and all kinds of different things. They had 40,000 customers, and he was trying to figure out how to get more customers. And I'm like, instead of trying to figure out how to get more customers, just work with the customers that you have, right? So
I refer to it as a process called milk your own cows.
Yes. And I said,
people have a barn full of milk and full of cows, and the cows are full of milk and it's dripping on the floor, and they walk right by them in the morning to try to get somebody new to milk their neighbor's cows.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah. I said, well, just call up a few of them. He goes, what am I going to say? Just say, hi, I'm Bob. I'm the owner of a company. Thank you for being a loyal customer of ours. That's it. They thought they were getting punked. They were freaked out. I said, do you think any of those people that you called would go anywhere to buy their equipment the next time? No, they're going to be like, I know Bob. He called me up on his cell phone.
I think it's also interesting that airline companies call their programs loyalty programs when in fact they are forced loyalty programs. And if they would just, it's like a perk. It's a premium. It's not a loyalty program. Their marketing team came up with that. I'm not loyal to American Airlines. I just happen to use American Airlines because they're in Charlotte and they're 96% of the flights. What else am I going to do?
Right. Exactly.
Fly to Cleveland to change a plane. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not loyal. I'm forced to be loyal.
Yeah. When it comes to salesmen, saleswomen, we're all looking as entrepreneurs to find, what's that secret recipe? What's that silver bullet that, guarantees success when we go to make hires? Everyone asks
Well,
us.
if you're a manager and you're looking to make a hire, you want a smart, self-starting person with a past history of success who's got a great attitude. That's it. Smart, self-starting, great attitude, past history of success. You hire all those people, you're going to be fine. But from a standpoint of if you are a salesperson and you're listening to this, if you don't believe in your heart that the customer is better off having purchased from you, get out of your job now. So those are the criteria. That's as New York fast as I possibly can be.
Okay, interview over. Great. Go to work, guys.
They also have to be willing to learn. You have to be coachable.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to learn because they're maybe your boss has a better style or a different nuance than your past boss has, and you obviously learn from your bosses, both good and bad. Well, I interviewed a guy the other day, and he said that the first best person I learned from was my best boss. The second best person I learned from was my worst boss. It's so interesting that most people don't take the lesson. They just get pissed off about it.
Yeah. I went through a hellish time when I worked in New York. I worked for an absolute tyrant. Matter of fact, he hit me 2 or 3 times. He didn't strike me in the face, but I mean,
with anything like with a book or anything?
No, with his fist. With his fist, he hit me in like the leg or the arm. It was a good shot. I made him mad, pissed him off, and one time I really deserved it. I can't go into details about that, but I really did deserve it. He tried to fire me several times. I just said, I'm not leaving. I've got work to do. He goes, you're fired. I've got too much work to do today. Fire me tomorrow. Yeah. I drove him nuts. That's probably why he hit me twice. But the point is, I learned so much from him because this guy, first of all, he was a tyrant. He was a horrible boss. But this guy just never quit. I mean, he just wouldn't let go. If we lost a deal, he would call up the chairman and say, fire the person that just didn't give us the deal. He was relentless. And I think you can always learn something from anybody if you just step back and look and see what the lesson is.
I received an email the other day, and I can't really name it, but it's the 3 questions that all salespeople should ask their interviewer. And it was done by a person who was sitting someplace in an office somewhere in, I don't know where the hell they were, but it wasn't New York. And it was obvious that this person was a writer, not a salesperson. And they asked questions pertaining to money and benefit. And I wrote back. I never, usually I just read stuff and I'll say, oh, good or oh, bad. This one I had to respond back to and challenge her. I said, look, you've obviously never sold in New York City. So why don't you get an apartment in New York for a month or 2 and cold call and see what that's like. And then get a job in New York City managing 20 salespeople and see what that's like. And then write the questions. It was phenomenal to me how New York is the epicenter of learning what you need to know now. Whether it's good or bad, whether it's legal or illegal, you need to know the lessons in order to bring yourself forward. You need to know what to do and what not to do. And most of that is based on who you've worked with. If you're a dad or you're a mom, you learn how to parent from your parents. You kind of remember what happened, or you watch other people parent and you go, oh, I'm never going to do that. Or, wow, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I think that there's a learning process that's involved here, and you have to know the lessons and document the lessons. And one of the reasons I became a writer is that I was documenting all kinds of stuff, and I thought, hey, other people can use this. And that's how I started to write. I literally began to write by saying, what do you do when the customer says, I want to think about it?
It's the whole reason I started this podcast. I didn't want to write. I didn't want to type. So I said, I love to talk. So let's just talk about it.
Yeah, it's funny to me. People get writer's block, but they never get talker's block. So I challenge people to just write like you talk. If you read my books, I speak my books. Yeah. Literally, I speak them. And the last book, I did every bit of it on Dragon Dictate. I guess I have the gift or the ability to dictate in a column or make sense, but that's how to write so people will read it.
Yeah.
You like my books because they're readable.
Yeah.
Well, they're readable because they're speakable.
And they're memorable. I mean, look.
Oh, they're damn good.
You know,
thank you. Yeah.
The little gold book. Guess what color it is? Gold. Now,
right.
Look how big it is. There's not a lot of fluff in here.
No, there's no fluff.
No.
I edit out all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And because I'm the writer and I have an editor, but I also edit myself, I make certain that everything that's in there is something that I do or would do, that I would teach to my children, or it has to be transferable in a way where the other guy says, I get it, I agree with it, I think I can do it, I'm willing to try it. That makes the concept in the book, whatever it is, whether it's sales or networking or attitude or any kind of personal development, they have to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this. And that's how I write.
Yeah, I worked in New York and I lived in New York. And a matter of fact, the first job that I was telling you about, the tyrant that I worked for, we sold to private equity firms. Now, when you're selling to private equity firms, you learn to behave in a certain manner. You learn how to speak, dress in a certain manner. Absolutely. I mean, it took me a couple of years to figure out, the tie situation. Finally, it was just like, you got to go to Hermes. That's it. Don't buy any of the ties.
Exactly.
Don't even try it, right? It was just,
it costs a few extra bucks, but that's where you go.
That's right. I talked to my boss, said, which one should I buy? He goes, it doesn't matter. If you're there, it'll be fine.
Yeah, people will know. It's funny. People are very fashion conscious in New York City, both men and women.
Yeah. Yes.
Other places you kind of, and maybe the other coast too, people in San Francisco and LA are pretty fashion conscious as well, or Philly or Washington, D.C. But in the middle, it's not as important.
Yeah. But what's interesting?
I'm going out to do a seminar in Des Moines, Iowa. They don't really care what I wear as long as I show up and give valuable information.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're profitability consultants, and we changed the attire that we started to wear, and we made sure that we had a sport jacket. Even if we had jeans on, we had a sport jacket on. And it's interesting because the CEOs, the way they responded back to us, it was like an instant change. We no longer had to overcome that first perception of, okay, who are you? What are you doing? Yeah, it was fascinating. And back to New York, the first time I set up my first company, it was with a private equity firm. They gave me 20 minutes to set up the company, tell them what I was going to do, name it, and come up with the pricing structure. 20 minutes. It's like, Go in the conference room, go finish it.
Perfect.
That's the way it rolls.
I would challenge you with one thing with your profitability company, because I've been thinking about it.
Love it.
I would take in $50 $100 bills, have them folded in half in my pocket, and take it. I'd sit down with the CEO of the company, male or female, and say, "Hi, I'm here to talk to you today about this." Pull the money out, stick it on the table. And I want to find out, my main goal today is to find out how much of this you're keeping and how much of this you're throwing in the trash can. Fair enough?
I like it.
And people can immediately identify with a stack of hundreds.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I love that idea. Jeffrey, done.
Cool.
I remember we were pitching.
Obviously, you have to have the $5,000. You know what I mean?
I've got the $5,000. I might have to take out a loan, but I'll get the $5,000.
Okay, cool.
It's interesting. We were trying to close a deal with a PE firm. And every time we went in there, we brought in the big book and all the the slideshow, and we had the whole team, and we weren't going anywhere. Right,
Your deck,
big deck, exactly. Well.
Yeah.
We didn't
stack now. It's called a stack.
Oh, it's a stack? All right. It was a deck back then. And our overhead projector. Okay, I'm dating myself a little bit. No, wasn't that bad. But we kept doing the same thing over and over again. And we just weren't getting any results. So this was about the 6th time we're pitching this firm over a period of about 4 years. We show up to the meeting, and we have our nice, they weren't leather bound, but they were bound in the little spiral thing. Very nice. Well done, pretty sizable. And we bought a bunch of waste paper baskets, little office waste paper baskets. And we had enough for their entire team, which was 5 or 6 people. So we show up and we take the proposal in the waste paper basket and push it across the table. And they're like, what is this? We said, look, the last 5 times we were here, they ended up in the waste paper basket. So we figured we just save you the hassle, and we put them in there already. We walked out with the deal.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
What you did is you walked in different than anybody else.
Yeah.
I I pitched a very large company one time where they had reviewed 8 people and couldn't select any of them. They wanted 3 more people, and I was one of the 3 that they asked to participate. And at the end of literally at the end of my presentation, they chose me. And I went into this room where we're going to finalize and negotiate for the deal. And I said, look, before we start, I'm the 11th guy. What made you pick me? And the answer was literally universal. You weren't buttoned down. Like I was real with them. When I went around the room, I looked them in the eye. I kibitzed with them so that they got that I was a real human being. And it was about customer service and customer loyalty. And they got that if I could make their people feel a lot better about who they were dealing with, that they would do it better. And that was the deal. They wanted to have a little fun.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin. Click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.
Be on the lookout for part 2 of our conversation with Jeffrey, where he tells us the key to developing a great attitude, in addition to why you need to be Googleable. I'll see you guys on another episode of Peak Performers Podcast.